How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I got some CRX updates for you. So let's roll that intro and get into it. So as you guys probably know, lately we've been doing a lot of work on the S14 to get it ready for summer. But in the background, I've been going hard on getting the CRX ready for racing season. So I haven't really recorded anything because I just want to get stuff done. But I'm going to do an update for you guys. I'll flip the camera around and kind of show you exactly what I've done. So I had to make a list so I wouldn't forget anything. But first thing, it's pretty obvious. I installed some hood pins. So ever since we got the car, we've had trouble getting the hood to latch, and actually the latch was broken inside, and the cable itself was also sticking. So we tried to fix that. The cable was not working, so I fabbed up some hood pins. So basically what we're looking at here is this used to be a lower control arm bolt, and it's bolted on from underneath and using one of the existing holes from the headlight mount. So it's still mounting the headlight, and then I used another nut on top, and that's what's keeping it in place. Then I cut the head off of it, rounded it off nicely, drilled a hole through so that the pin fits through. And I tell you, for $0, I think that's a pretty good upgrade, considering that it was not working anyway. So I did this side the same way. And the nice thing about this is there's still some threading left underneath, so it is adjustable up and down, so we can adjust our hood height that way. So, I mean, for what it is, I'm pretty happy with the way those turned out. And I did also keep the safety latch up here as well, so it's just an extra latch on there. So where the existing hood latch used to be, I removed that altogether because it was just causing problems down here. It wasn't lining up 100%, and when I removed the cable, the piece inside that springs back is actually functional. So if I had left this piece up top here, it would have latched, would have had no way to open it up. So that's kind of why I did that, but everything works as it should. It's nice and solid, so I don't see this thing ever springing open on us. And since we got the hood open, I also replaced the valve cover gasket because it was leaking pretty bad. So replaced that. We were also missing a couple nuts off of here, which I was not able to find any, except I have these aftermarket spiked ones. So that's kind of all we got right now. It was also missing the grommets, so I replaced those with these washers. Again, guys, we're just trying to go for a junkyard build here so that we're not sourcing too many parts. And normally valve cover gaskets come with all that stuff, but I guess the one we ordered did not come with that. So we kind of just had to make do with what we had here. What else? Oh yeah, I got the fuel filter changed, so that's all working as it should. The old one was so dirty that the gas coming out of it was literally like dark brown. So that definitely needed to be replaced. And that's probably the problem we had when we first started it up, when it wasn't idling on its own. We had to keep the gas on it. So I'm thinking that's going to solve a lot of our problems. So as you guys would have seen in the last video, me and Tim spent a lot of time swapping over those ridiculous lowering sleeves that this car came with onto the new struts. And now that I have the car lowered to the ground, I don't know if you can tell, but this side is a lot lower than this side. And I had it fully adjusted, so they should have been even. So what I did is I tried lowering this side more to the point where the spring was no longer contacting the perch and it was sitting loose in there. And this side is still 1.5 inches taller than that side. So I went and had a look. And if we look underneath, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but this spring is 100% compressed. So it's like there is no tension to it at all. It crushed it right down. I don't know if it's just some cheap eBay spring and the spring rate just doesn't match any of the others, because this side is a lot higher. And if you look in the back, we're even higher back there. So I'm actually really liking the lift that we're getting on this thing, considering we're doing dirt cross with it. So we do have a set of lowering springs that were meant to go on the Furious Civic, but I think given these circumstances, we're gonna have to try throwing those on here just so that we can get some even height on here, because this isn't gonna work. I don't even feel comfortable driving this thing on the street because it's not gonna perform the way we want it to at all. It's gonna be dangerous to drive. But anyway, that's kind of what we have going on with the suspension. I'm a little bummed about it because we spent so much time on it already. And now we got to take everything apart again to try and swap these springs on. But that's probably going to be the next thing on the list. I won't get too much into the rockers, but I've started welding on here. So I ended up having to cut the entire rocker out. The pinch weld was gone, so I had to cut what was left of it basically, but it was just completely rusted away and I had to rebuild everything from scratch. So the pinch weld, actually, I'm using a piece of kind of like angle iron like this and welding that to the floor. So I have a starting point of solid metal that I can actually weld to. And then I had to rebuild the side part here as well. Don't mind the crappy welds. It's from a Mastercraft flux core welder, but it's gonna work either way. I got a bit more work to do under here yet to finalize it all, but it's definitely going in the right direction. And then after that is just going to be the rockers. So we had ordered these online. These are actually for an EF Civic hatchback. We couldn't actually find one specific for the CRX. So these ones are quite a bit longer, but they do line up quite well. So I ended up having to cut about, I don't know, maybe 8 inches or so off the back, and they do actually line up okay. These were advertised as a slip-on type, but when I slip them over top of the existing, it's sitting way too high for the door. So I think I'm just gonna have to cut out and replace the entire thing, which isn't bad anyway, because I wanna get as much of that rusty metal out of there anyway. So now we'll come around to the back of the car. And for the lower control arms, these are still the ones that came on the car. If you remember, these bushings were 100% shot. Some of them were even missing. So what we ended up doing, just so that I could get the car on the ground, is I used like a Sikaflex. It's kind of like a silicone type sealant. And I just filled in the bushing material with that, just so that I could get something to mount the car and get some idea of what the suspension was going to look like. So these are very temporary. We do have lower control arms on order. We're just waiting for them. So that's kind of what we got going there. I got rid of the trunk release inside the car, and now we have one located here, which is a lot more convenient when we're going to open it, because then we don't have to go all the way to the front of the car to do that. And then in doing that, I also got rid of the fuel door latch, which I think when we mount the fuel door, we're just going to put magnets on here. That's kind of what we did on the Supra as well. And we can just pop it open and the magnets will keep it closed. So works pretty good on the Supra. So I think we're gonna do the same thing here. And now going inside the car, you can see that I've done a battery relocate. So this will sit kind of right behind the passenger seat. It is mounted. I drilled 2 holes in the floor and I use the existing battery tie down, and like this thing is solid. It's not going anywhere. This positive wire runs all the way down and it uses the existing mounting points for the wiring. So it actually turned out really nice. I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. And then I also mounted a kill switch over here. So I wired all that up, got the center console back in. So basically this comes out of here. And then if we want to turn the car on, we activate this and then we turn the key and then she'll fire up. So if we need to kill it, pop it off, done. All right, so just check my list here to make sure I got everything covered here. Oh yeah, the rear drums, I also replaced those. Me and Tim were having a lot of trouble trying to get the drum covers back on. So we actually didn't compress the piston enough, so we couldn't fit the covers back on. So I took everything apart again, compressed the pistons, adjusted everything, and managed to just barely get the covers back on. So they are on there. The e-brake kind of sticks a little bit, so when I activated it, it kind of stuck the one wheel, so now it's kind of seized. Not seized, it does move. When I jack up the car, it does move. But yeah, it's just something else we got to work on. But yeah, other than that, guys, the biggest thing right now is going to be the rockers. So I've got the passenger side probably 50% done right now. I haven't even touched the driver's side and it's a lot worse. And the part I'm worried most about is that these are fuel lines running across here, and I'm gonna have to weld pretty close to that. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do that safely. On this side, we got brake lines running over here, and I'm already getting pretty close with the weld, if you can see, and that's closer than I'm comfortable with already. And that side is even closer. So I'm gonna have to figure something else out for that yet, but at least I want to get this side done, and then I can say that that's some of the rust gone anyway. So the part I'm working on right now is going to be this back section where the seat belt actually mounts to, and the original mount for it is so rusted away, there was barely anything holding it in place anymore. So it's a good thing I'm doing this, because that wouldn't have been very safe at all. Also, where the seat rails mount, I had to go through and redo all of that as well. So there's new plug welds there, so they're nice and solid again. But yeah, it was completely rusted through. It just looked like little spots of rust from the inside, but once I got to the back side, when I cut all this away, you could really see how bad the rust was. So we're gonna get all that replaced, and then it should be good and solid. I know this isn't going to be a perfect job. I'm just using scrap metal that I have laying around the house. I probably wouldn't recommend doing it this way on a car that you actually cared about, or were planning on building a show car or something. This is more so just for the track. This car is rough as it is. We just want it to work. So this is going to work. It's not going to be pretty, but that's all we really care about on this one. But yeah, guys, me and Tim really want to take this thing out on a test drive so we can actually see how it drives. If it drives, we don't even know yet. So the only thing keeping us back from doing that now is those lower control arms. We do need one more brake caliper bracket for the driver's side. So right now we don't have any brakes in the car. And then I want to get the suspension sorted out. So those are going to be the big things that are coming up next, just so that we can take the thing out for a test drive at least, because we got about a month to go and then it's racing season. So we got to get cracking on this thing. I've made tons of progress already, but there's still so much to do. So I think what I'm going to do is quickly get the welding finished on this passenger side, and then I really want to start working on the suspension, get that sorted once and for all, because we've taken so long on it already. And if we all of a sudden have to order parts for it, we got to do that sooner rather than later, because some parts are taking forever to come in. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video for today. I just wanted to throw a quick update for you guys so you know what's going on. And we haven't forgotten about the build. We're still working on it. So yeah, definitely give me a thumbs up if you're stoked about this build. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. And if you haven't subscribed already, definitely consider doing so. We got a lot of content coming out, and race season is coming. And we're stoked about that. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.